All right, let's take a look at the passage before we bias ourselves with the answer choices. Samuel Coleridge Taylor was a prominent classical music composer from England who toured the U.S. 3 times in the early 1900s. The child of a West African father and an English mother, Coleridge Taylor emphasized his mixed-race ancestry. For example, he referred to himself as Anglo-African. He incorporated the sounds of traditional African music into his classical music compositions. Well, my first instinct is that last sentence doesn't really have much to do with the one that came before it, right? This sentence here is definitely an example, I mean, they literally say it, of the sentence that came before it. But then this next one is moving on, right? It's not talking about his ancestry necessarily anymore. Now it's talking about the music itself. So this seems like a new idea, which, I don't know, that's strange. If I'm supposed to transition, how do I transition to something new? Well, look at the answer choices here. One little clue we might be able to use to help us is that the words however and regardless are both kind of words that mean but. In the old SAT, there was a strategy where if we saw two words that had the same basic meaning, we could cross both of them out because if they mean the same thing, how could one be right and the other wrong? It wouldn't really make sense. So far, I'm noticing this occasionally on the new SAT. However, I have not seen enough questions to know for sure, so stay tuned for that. But it does help us here because there's definitely no contrast. Like I said, this is a new idea. It is not contrasting the thing that came before it. They're saying he emphasizes Anglo-African heritage, and then now the music is Anglo-African, so it just seems like it's maybe a continuation. I don't know. Actually is kind of also a contrast word. It suggests that maybe the thing we just said is incorrect, but actually this is the correct thing. So maybe we lump that in with the word but. Regardless, here it just kind of feels empty. Like it doesn't feel like it does anything of value. The answer is going to be in addition. This is basically a longer way of saying and. And the word and is barely a transition at all, right? It lets us just kind of add something else on, right? Also, it's just another point. And that's what this feels like to me. And so I'm not surprised that A is going to be the answer. It's just another idea. It's still related to the guy, but it's not related to the previous sentence in any strong way. They're just kind of moving on. And so a phrase like in addition lets us, I guess, segue into a new thought a little more smoothly. Most of the time when words like that are going to be the correct answer, it's mostly just because everything else is bad. So you're not going to necessarily notice it until you've thought about all the other choices, and that's okay. That's just how these work.